So you talk a lot about your soul's frequency. It's one thing to get a gut feel or an intuition, and it's another thing to think about my soul has a frequency.
I have a certain way that I feel as a person. That feeling comes from the soul. You have a certain energy that I feel from you, that you have a very Darla energy, right? You're Darla, right? We have a different energy. We have a different feeling, right. Even though we overlap in so many ways in terms of our values and our interests and the things that we believe in. So when I say soul's frequency, I mean, what's the energy you came here to be when you're really being yourself?
It's Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. I'm Darla LeDoux, best-selling author, coach, and retreat leader. And I'm on a mission to normalize transformation on the planet, one intimate retreat at a time. This show's dedicated to the coaches, consultants, healers, leaders, and light workers who are here to hold space for the truth that transforms lives and get paid for it. Expert retreat and business tips, strategies, stories, and magic. It's your weekly mini retreat delivered right to your ears. Let's do this. Welcome, Lisa. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you so much for taking time to share your wisdom and your brilliance in terms of how to make your soul CEO of your business. And I love this topic, and I've grown to love it more and more over the last couple of years. And especially, I've had the pleasure of experiencing your work and really learning at a deeper level how to make my soul CEO. So I'm thrilled that you're here. I'll let you talk in just a moment, but I want to introduce folks to Lisa. So Lisa Berkovitz has bridged the gap between the business and spiritual worlds for more than 15 years as an MBA, high-level project manager for Fortune 100 and 500 companies, master-level NLP practitioner, Reiki master, and master level coach to executives and entrepreneurs. She has extensive experience drawing out the life's work of some of the most visionary, passionate, and accomplished change makers, helping them shape it into a tangible, practical form so it can make its intended impact in the world. And to do so with less effort, more flow, and in deepest alignment with who they are and why they're on the planet. So you're totally speaking our language in terms of alignment, and I'm so excited to have you. So Lisa, you talk about how to make your soul the CEO of your business. Tell me what you mean by that.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much, Darla. Thank you. I'm just so grateful to be here, and you know I adore you and everything that you stand for. So it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here. And so, yeah, what I mean by how to make your soul your CEO, it sort of was born out of necessity for myself, because I was back in the day a great student and a great corporate employee, very left brain, very, strong mind, strong mind. And, that got me quite a lot of success. But there was a point at which I had to leave all that and really open up to other parts of myself. And I had the call to become an entrepreneur. And I realized that there were things that I was getting as guidance, as nudges, as knowings, things that were like, oh, I should go this way, but this doesn't make any sense to my brain. And that happened many, many times over the course of my journey, till I eventually realized this is a thing. This is a thing in business. Like, what voice are you listening to when you make your decisions? What voice are you listening to when you're following some kind of idea of where you're going and what you're doing on this planet and what you're doing for people? So
how did you realize this was a thing?
Yeah, I guess it really, I realized, like, I had called it previous to having, sort of this sense of this is my soul speaking to me. I called it my radar. And my radar was always right. My radar told me to leave my job. My radar told me, every time I followed my radar, things would kind of work out. So when I got into business as an entrepreneur, I did a lot of training. I did a lot of learning. But when I finally became an entrepreneur and started actually coaching the way that I coach, teaching the way that I teach, I realized this is actually about my soul has, there's a reason that I'm here. There is a blueprint for why I'm here. My soul knows the whole path. And so when I actually allow myself to, when I put myself in a space where I can hear that voice more clearly, it tells me exactly what to do. And that's what I call making my soul my CEO. I go to that place, and this is what I guide people through in the work that I do. Go to that place, hear what's true for me, be clear about it, trust it, and then act on it. That for me is making the soul the CEO.
That's amazing. And you said you work with, executives and entrepreneurs, and probably some folks who don't even know they have a radar or aren't quite there yet. So what have you noticed? I'm just imagining our world, and I'm super passionate about the value systems of our world and how some of them are broken, and how if we can shift what we value, it starts to have this ripple effect. And so you're out there with this message of make your soul the CEO. And that's not necessarily a value system that's out there. How do you think about that? How do you think about, what it might take to spread this message and have it have critical mass? How do you think about people who don't know they have a radar? Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's interesting. I'm noticing, I've been doing this work now 8 years. And what I'm really heartened by is that I'm seeing more and more proof that this is becoming more accepted. So while I say soul as CEO, I've been using soul language for a number of years. Yeah. What I see out in the world now is like intuitive leadership. Or creative leadership. Like there's different terms that different people are using. So I just want to say in general, I'm heartened to see there is a movement in this direction, and I don't get too hung up on the language of it. People are, mindfulness is finding its way into the corporate world. Like there's these different environments where I was, would have been surprised long ago. But for me, and I guess I adapt, I adapt to where people are at. So if the person in front of me, there's usually, if I ask a question of the person in front of me, something like, have you ever trusted your gut? Or have you ever had sort of a kind of a nudge or a clue about something and you followed it and it worked out? Something like that, something very simple, almost anybody can relate to. So, you can go the gamut. That's how I think about it. I trust my knowing is that every single one of us really knows what this is when we've had some kind of experience of it in some way. And so far, I haven't had anybody say to me they didn't know what I meant or couldn't think of an example of it. So the way that I think of it and the way that I sort of spread the message in my way is I assume that the person in front of me actually is like built that way, and there is an access point. And I kind of look for the access point, but I think we're built, we're wired that way. We're meant to operate that way.
I love that you said that, you're heartened by seeing some of these things happening more in the mainstream. What's something that you've noticed lately that's made your heart sing?
Somebody the first thing that popped in my head was somebody, I can't remember who told me this, and I'm going to butcher the details, but they basically told me that the new CEO of Microsoft wrote a book with soul in the title. And I'm like, wow is right. There's something going on.
That's amazing.
It's a pretty big signal. Yeah. So that's what pops in my head.
Love it. We got to look that up.
Yeah. I'm sorry for butchering the details, but
no, I love it. That's amazing to know. Beautiful. So you talk a lot about your soul's frequency. And well, first of all, just talk about that, because it's one thing to get a gut feel or an intuition, and it's another thing to think about my soul has a frequency. Tell our listeners about that idea.
Yeah. It's the idea that we really come here as an energy. Before we're physical flesh, we come here, I think of the soul as an energy. And so for me, it's like we all have, even if you just look at people in general, you see different people dress differently, they wear their hair differently, like different people feel different. And for me, the uniqueness of a person and the way they're expressing comes initially from the soul. So in the world of transformation, where we work, where, you know, we're working with change makers, we're working to create change in the world. I tend to think of the soul's frequency as the energy you came to be for the planet, the energy you came here to be for the planet. I have a certain way that I feel as a person. That feeling comes from the soul. You have a certain energy that I feel from you, that you have a very Darla energy, right? You're Darla, right? Like we have a different energy. We have a different feeling, right, even though we overlap in so many ways in terms of our values and our interests and the things that we believe in. So when I say soul's frequency, I mean, what's the energy you came here to be? When you're really being yourself, when you're really in your authentic alignment, you radiate your energy more cleanly and clearly. And for me, that is a very, very powerful element to a successful business, because people can see you, feel you, hear you as you really are, not as you think you should be. So when you're being your soul's frequency, when you're being the energy that you're here to be, when you feel that yourself, everything else kind of lines up with that. Even the copy that you need to write for your website, or the way you have a sales conversation with someone, it kind of all comes from knowing your soul's frequency and being that.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So when you're really yourself, so this brings me to, you know, aligned entrepreneurs, we're all about transformation, and really that you can shift how you're being and how you're showing up to be more and more in alignment as we grow. And, you know, I personally believe that's our job here, is to become more of who we are, who we were, you know, meant to be. And so I think it'd be a really interesting conversation, Lisa, to talk about, like, our soul has a unique frequency, and we are who we are because we were born this way. And yet then there's the process of alignment, right? And so becoming misaligned and then becoming realigned, and how that works. And, you know, for me, as you were talking, and I was picturing myself, right? Like, okay, just being very Darla. I know my soul's frequency is about joy and joyful self-expression, and picturing myself coming into the family I came into, where joy wasn't real prevalent. It was kind of stressful and heavy, right? And like the world is, you know, the sky is falling all the time. And so how do you think about that journey for yourself? What's been your journey with finding your soul's frequency? And how do you think about that with your clients?
Yeah, so such an awesome question and reflection. I think of it like you alluded to it already. I think of it like we come in to be a certain energy and a certain expression for the world, but then we're born into these families, we're born into these households where there's a certain way of doing things and a certain way of being, and we adapt to those because that's what little people do, right? It's just the nature of kind of coming onto this planet. So there's like a little community in your family, but then there's the larger community that we're born into. Then we go to school, then we have the media, right? So we have these like messages that we get from the beginning that we come into the world, like, you need to be this way, you need to be that way. So I'm thinking of it like, okay, we adapt to that environment, and we develop this acceptable way of being that isn't always in full harmony with who we came to the planet to be. And the misalignment comes from that gap. You know, I talk about, this has certainly been my own journey, and what I help my clients with is the process of actually looking at or discerning what is true for me and what is not true for me, what feels aligned, what doesn't feel aligned, what lights me up, what shuts me down. If it's from the soul, it's expansive. If it's from some conditioned idea of the way I should be or how I should do something, there's like a heaviness to it or a contraction. And so that human journey that we've been on, that's developed this conditioning around it, that human journey for me is really this work, this transformation work and realigning with who we really are, is about integrating the human with the divine. It's integrating the human conditioning that we've had, the story that we've lived, the conclusions that we've made, and shedding those in such a way that we actually come back to the truth of who we are. So our human self and our soul self are singing off the same song sheet, singing off. So for me, it was much like, I know enough about your story to know, like, we have some similarities. Good student, good corporate employee, doing what was expected of me. I was very attuned to what was required to perform at a high level. But that was a role that I played. It wasn't necessarily the joy of my soul expressing in that environment. And it wasn't until I left that, my passion is helping people thrive at the work they were born to do. Well, the work they were born to do is the work that lights them up and that reflects their soul's joy. So for me, it's about peeling back in my own journey and in the journey of the clients that I work with. It's about peeling back the layers, releasing, shedding the layers of conditioning that say you have to do it this way or you have to do it that way, so that we can just come back, so that the human and the soul are matching. They're matching. And that's a constant, it's a constant journey, getting more and more and more of ourselves. So does that make sense? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, definitely. And it brings up some more questions.
Okay.
What's been the hardest layer for you to shed in your journey?
That's a great question. How easy it can be, I'd say.
So talk a little bit about that. So
yeah,
saying how easy it can be, it sounds like maybe you had a layer that made things hard.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think about the long hours I used to work in corporate got carried over into my entrepreneurial life. When I, as I was building, I was still doing things from the head and there was a belief that, you have to prove your worth and you have to pay your dues. And it's not easy to being an entrepreneur, and all these inherited ideas. So it's been a real journey. That I'd say that, and the other thing that's popping in right now is sort of shedding those layers of feeling like I have to work so much or work so hard that it actually can flow.
This is I love that you brought that up. So what had to change for you to shed that?
It goes together with the other, my beliefs had to change. My concept of self had to change. It goes together with, the other hardest thing that goes hand in hand with the other hardest thing was that I can thrive doing only what I love, which is connected to, it can be easier. If I can thrive at, so I used to think I had to still do things I didn't want to do, or work with clients who maybe weren't the best match for me, or there's many, many, many versions of that in practical form. Entrepreneurship can be very, very hard if you still hold those beliefs. So for me, I feel like
everybody should write on a Post-it note, I can thrive doing only what I love.
Yes.
And put that at their workplace.
Yes. That was my burning quest from the day I left corporate. And it's been quite a journey to peel back those beliefs. And
why was it so hard? And what you said, your self-concept had to change. So what had to change for you about how you viewed yourself to make that okay?
Yeah. Well, firstly, starting to see myself through my soul's eyes rather than so much through the personality. So just seeing that I'm actually here for a larger purpose. So just actually standing in the perspective of the purpose of why I'm here. So I started to see myself as a change agent for exactly this message. That I actually started to see it was my responsibility to let it be easier. That my soul came to this planet to help with this, and I had to demonstrate it. I had to be it in order to be the best messenger for it. That wasn't going to work any other way. I couldn't say it and not be doing it. So I had to, I really had to shift that perspective of who I am and why I'm here, and start to see the circumstances of my business or any situation in my life through a higher lens, through a more, a broader perspective, a more meaningful lens.
So when you have this choice of, I could work a lot of hours and make this hard, or I could go do something fun.
Yeah.
You know, I remember I hosted an event once and we live streamed it. And so, you know, we were bringing in the internet, right? So basically, who knows who can see this? And I had an attendee say, like, literally, I have to leave because no one can know. And she was an independent entrepreneur, worked for herself, a writer. She said, I don't want to risk that my clients would know I'm not working right now. And she was at a business event, right?
Wow.
But it's like that idea that, you know, and especially when you have clients paying you, this idea that that means that in order for them to feel happy about paying you, you have to be sitting here slaving away somehow.
Yeah.
As opposed to the energy or the frequency, which is, I don't want my clients buying into some frequency of slaving away, right? Like, oh, that's a detriment. So
totally. It's a great example. And another one that pops in my head is very often I'll have had something maybe I was working on that I was writing, let's say writing an article or writing something, excuse me. And I would be like working, right? Working through it, efforting through it and feeling heavy and catching myself and going, no, this is actually not, this is not how it's meant to be. I'm going to stop now. I'm going to go take a walk around the block. If the weather's really nice, I'll go for a walk, or if I'll go to yoga now, come back and find out that, like, boom, the thing flows in half the time. It's twice as good and I'm done. And it's like those having to train myself out of those old habits and realize that the feeling that I'm feeling when I'm doing my work is getting infused into everything that I do. What energy am I putting out in the world? Really, like, what energy is there behind the writing that I'm doing? What energy is there when I show up at an event or when I show up on a client call? Like, am I light? What is the feeling of my soul? And is that what I am radiating right now? And if it's not what I'm radiating right now, what do I need to do to bring myself into that energy, into that frequency, so that I'm lifting people up instead of spreading more heaviness in the world? Not what I'm here for.
Amazing. You know, that just made me think of, and I'm curious your thoughts about this. So recently I was recording some videos and I had a certain time frame. So we've had a lot of funerals recently. And so there've been, you know, things to rearrange. And so I had a certain time frame and I started to feel like there's no possible way I can get this done in this time frame. It's like not possible. I haven't written the scripts. I haven't done the whole thing. Like, it's impossible. And then I went, well, what if it weren't, right? What if this is the exact amount of time? And just like play with it, right? If it's not good, throw it away, but like, let's just do it. And so I actually got it all done in less than the time that I thought I had. And one of the things I had to do, and I'm really curious about this because it's a niggle here, right? So what would you say to people about their frequency? I had the thought of like, okay, if I go for a walk and go to yoga class and do all those things and get in the right energy, then it will be the right energy. And that feels great, right? But then it's like, I didn't have time for that. And so I had to just trust, like, I am the right energy. So how do you see that? Because I think people make up then, like, I need to do all of these things to be okay, rather than trusting that they actually have access to that energy.
Yeah. And
I think you have an exercise for that. So I want to hear your thoughts and then we'll go into that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and it's a great point. And it's so awesome when we do these distinctions, when we point out these distinctions, because it is easy for the mind to make conclusions like that. Like, oh, well, if I had 3 hours to go and then I would be in it. No, that's not the point. The point is, as I was learning, yes, taking a pause, taking a break, that's one way to do it. But as I've gotten better at it, what you're talking about, you've come to a place in yourself where you accept the truth, the belief that I have every energy in me right now and I can access it right now. And I have also trained myself into that as well. Right? So maybe at an earlier stage, when someone doesn't know how to find it so quickly and easily, they need to practice, right? What are the things that help me get into that energy? Then that's helpful. You go for the walk or you go to yoga. But yes, the actual truth is that energy is in you, right? It's what you are. It can't not be there. It is there. It's just that we have this poor training and we don't recognize that it's there or have quick access to it. And that's very much what I love to teach about and share, is how quickly and easily you can go to that place of feeling the truth of who you are.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So we're going to give people an experience of that here. You are. I have to ask the quick question though. How does frequency help fill retreats? Since that's one of the things that a lot of my people are working on, is marketing and filling their retreat. And really any program, anything you're marketing, how does frequency relate to that so people can really ground in this experience?
Yeah. Well, so the way that I see it is like your frequency is like a beacon, right? So if you're really being yourself, feeling the truth of who you are, radiating it, people can see you more easily. They feel you more easily. It's like, I've had people, when I'm in my frequency, I've literally had people show up without like me doing anything. Literally like out of nowhere, like I needed to, like just amazing, crazy stories. The more you are in your own frequency and just letting it radiate from you, the more everything you do becomes attractive to your right people. So if you make a post, if you go to the store and stand next to the right person in line, like you're going to feel different for them. I think of it literally like a beacon. You beacon differently. Any strategy can be effective or ineffective, whether you're in your frequency or you're not. So something that worked for you one day might not work for you the next day because you're just in a different frequency. So whatever you're doing to share the word about your retreat, whatever you're doing to let people know that it exists, the more you design it as a reflection of your frequency, the more it's like what you would love to be doing, the more it's in the place you would love to be doing it, the more excited you are about it, the more you're sharing about it in places that are natural for you and that light you up instead of drain you. Like all those things are a reflection of being in your frequency. And that all makes it easier to fill your retreats. People want to be in your energy when you're being you. It's like you said before, well, why would somebody want to come to my retreat if I'm not actually like feeling like my authentic self? They don't want to come to my retreat to learn to not be, I think about it like the Holy Grail. Like when you are being your soul's frequency, it's like the Holy Grail. It's like we all want to remember back to who we all want to be who we are. We all want to be I like to call it the flavor of God. Whether you believe in God or not, it's not the point. It's like the unique flavor of the divine that you're here to be. Everything we do is to come back to being that. Everything that you want in life is ultimately so that you can feel that again. If you feel it now, people are looking for that. They want to remember themselves. They want to get back to themselves. The fastest way for people to come to your retreat is for you to be yourself so that they can come and remember to be themselves.
And it's like, gosh, how we forget.
Totally. It's so funny. It's so simple. We're such silly humans sometimes.
So there's lots of pathways to remember yourself and get back to yourself. And obviously my work is devoted to that. And one of the questions I started asking myself a few years ago is like, how can we make this easier? Right? Because sometimes it's pretty painful to realize your disconnection, or your disconnection creates a lot of havoc. Mine has, I'll speak for myself, a lot of untrue situations that I then had to, regroup from. So you have a method that's really quick and easy, and you're going to give people a sample of that.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And it is super simple and it's super powerful. So if you're, yeah, I'll just take you through it. It'll just take not too long, a few minutes. If you're in a place where you can sit down, get comfortable, and close your eyes, great. If you are driving, please come back to this later, because obviously you can't close your eyes. And if you're out and about walking, you could probably even do this with your eyes open to some degree. So I'll just invite you to make yourself comfortable where you are, and just begin by taking a nice deep breath, filling your lungs fully and completely. And as you exhale, you can just imagine exhaling out anything that isn't serving you. Just giving yourself permission to just arrive here. Let everything else go for this moment. Everything will be there when we're done. And just beginning with, I like to start with just basic awareness. It's like just allowing everything to be what it is through the vehicle of your body and the levels of your being. So just starting with scanning through your body and just seeing how you feel in your body. How does your body feel in this moment? This helps you become present very quickly. It helps you, this is like an act of self-love, to just notice as you scan through your body how it feels, where you notice sensations, and where you might be holding tension, and where in your body you might actually feel great. And there's no need to change it. There's just this sense of, oh, I'm willing to just be here now with exactly what is. And it just kind of loosens the grip of trying to get anywhere, trying to do something specific. Just noticing, gifting yourself your own presence. And you can do the same thing with your mind, just like scanning with your inner eyes. Oh, there's my mind doing its thing. It's commenting. It's constantly commenting. You can hear that voice in your head. It's always got opinions. But when you observe it like this, you're actually not caught in it the same way. So you can just be in observance of it and allowance of it. Like, hey, yeah, the mind, it's always working. That's its job. That's its momentum. It's okay. And the same with your emotions. So you can just notice in this moment how you feel. Well, what's the dominant emotion that you're feeling right now? Again, whatever it is, it's okay. This is just slowing down a moment, noticing what's here, honoring the levels of your being. Whatever you're feeling is just right. It's part of your emotional guidance system. And so in this moment of just total allowance and honoring of what is, I'll invite you to just say inside yourself, I call all of my energy back to me now that belongs in this moment, from every person, place, and situation, and every time, space, and dimension. And you just let all of your energy, attention, and awareness that might be scattered elsewhere to just come back to you now. You just clean up your energy field. All your power is in this moment. So you just let everything return to you. When you're fully present with all your energy, you have greatest access to your guidance and your knowing. When you slow down like this, all of a sudden your greater knowing, your deeper wisdom can just start to flow in. And I also like to suggest groundings. You can just let yourself, you can imagine a grounding cord or a grounding column that drops from the base of your spine, connects your whole energy field down into, just drops through the floor into the earth, and travels down through the layers of the earth till it reaches the center of the earth to a place that's just right for you. Let it connect in there. Like you could maybe let it wrap around a gigantic crystal or boulder or something else. You don't even need to know what it is. You just let yourself be grounded and held by the earth, feeling its support, and letting the earth draw away all energies that aren't serving you. So it's like it's got this beautiful magnetic pull, and it can like vacuum out your energy system, vacuum out your energy field. It'll take away old thoughts, old feelings, old beliefs, old habits that are just ripe and ready to go right now. It's like a beautiful reset right here. So you're centered and you're grounded and you've let go of what isn't serving you, what's ripe to leave. And one more piece, I'm just going to invite you to let some golden white light pour down from above you, from the heart of the cosmos, like a column of light that brings like a shower, a cleansing shower of light, washing through your body and through your whole energy field, and just bringing the perfect frequency that's right for you in this moment, resetting your energy, loosening and dissolving anything that's a little more stuck in your field and washing it down the grounding column. So you've got this, just this beautiful recalibration here. You're perfectly suspended between heaven and earth. These simple tools I got from a teacher of mine that I use constantly, they are powerful yet simple. So I really encourage using them regularly on a daily basis. And while you're here suspended between heaven and earth, I'm going to invite you now to just tune into a time and a place when you felt most like yourself. A time and a place when it's been like, this is me, when there was a sense of joy, a sense of aliveness. Maybe you were in a particular place on the planet that you love. Or maybe you were with certain people that really get you, that really see you. Or maybe you were with a pet or a child. By yourself. Maybe you were wearing a certain outfit that really makes you feel like yourself. Maybe doing a certain kind of activity. So just trusting whatever comes to your awareness, let that be easy to receive, and really enjoy being in that experience. And for some people, it's a past memory, something you've lived in this life. And for some people, it's actually what I call a future memory, a vision of you doing the thing that you would most love to be doing on the planet. That's okay too. But the idea is that you enjoy it, that you let it be alive right now, that you immerse yourself in that time, in that place, that experience, noticing the details there. Any little details, things that you see, things that you hear. And most importantly, how you feel. What does it feel like to be there, fully yourself, expressing in your joy, in your aliveness, in your rightness with yourself. And really note that feeling, that energy that you feel. And this is usually the simplest access. This is your soul's frequency, this feeling of being fully yourself. When you feel open, when you feel connected, when you feel alive, when you feel, yes, this is me. And I like to say, you can note what memory it is that you had with this run of what we're doing here. And we can talk about it more. So we'll lead you out. Just take a nice deep breath. Be grateful for what you've received, and you can just start to become aware of your body again and come back into this time and place. You might stretch or twist a bit or wiggle your fingers and toes. And if you have a specific question around that, Darla, I'm glad to answer it, and or I could just share a little bit about why that simple exercise is super potent.
Yeah, I'd love for you to share why.
Yeah. So it really connects back to when you go to that place of like, this is me. It's what I call, every time you go to that place, it's what I call building your vibrational muscle. You get that easy strengthening of the feeling of who you really are. And the more often you go to that place with just a simple memory like that, like the lead in just to calm down, that's just a little gift for everybody just to like relax. You can receive more easily when you kind of just chill out a bit. But when you go to that place of remembering and you do that on a regular basis, it somehow sets a new normal for you, that when you don't feel like that, it starts to feel very uncomfortable. And it also allows you, when you get stronger in that, in a quiet, peaceful moment like we're doing here, right? Or when you do it in a morning meditation before the day has started, you get stronger with it there. Then all of a sudden you find yourself in a situation where you're challenged. Maybe something's not going quite the way you liked, something happens, a situation, a person, and all of a sudden you would maybe normally go down as a downward spiral. But when you've built this vibrational muscle of feeling who you really are, my greatest accomplishment in this life is being able to actually access that soul's frequency, even in a situation I don't prefer. That would normally take me into a different feeling, but I actually can go back to the feeling of who I am. It's incredibly potent. The more you stay there, the more everything can come to you that matches, including your business decisions, your inspiration, your guidance, your creativity, your opportunities, your clients, everything orients around that frequency.
So everything that matches your soul's frequency will come to you when you're present to it.
Yes, it will.
And how does that, let's say someone watches a free webinar that tells them to do these 3 steps to market their thing.
Mm-hmm.
How does being in your soul's frequency help you apply that or know whether to apply that?
Yeah, awesome question. It basically becomes a question of resonance. So when you're in your soul's frequency strongly, you know when something feels right for you and when it doesn't. That's all that is. Those 3 steps might be amazing for you. Or maybe one of the 3 steps might be resonant and amazing and you just let go of the other 2. And for me, not at all. I need to do something else. Yeah. The more you're in that frequency, then you can recognize when someone offers you something, an idea, an opportunity, a 3-step system, whatever, you are able to discern, yes, this is right for me, or no, this is not right for me. It's really that simple. Yeah. But you have to know yourself.
Awesome. And we need to do this regularly, right? Like I even feel a shift just from, and I had a memory, I don't know how old, but I remember I had on this red sequined outfit. I was in a dance recital and I had my hair all curled and I felt really cute and fun and I had like the best time dancing. But I think I messed up because I have it filed away as a traumatic memory, like I didn't do it right. And so, but before anyone told me I didn't do it right, I had an amazing time. So even just that little getting present to it. And I'm thinking about my day today. I'm interviewing. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Like I've got an amazing day today. And just that little shift, I can feel a shift. So it's like amazing how quickly we can get back in our head or the things we have to do, even if they're all aligned things that we have to do, we can get back in our head. So we need to keep this present.
Absolutely. And it's not hard. Just like, most of us know that when we start to do physical workout for the body, at first it can feel like, oh, I'm a little rusty. Oh, I'm not as strong. But very quickly the body adapts. It's the same thing with this energetic work. It's just consistency and practice. And to me, it's the most highly leveraged tool in my business. It doesn't take a lot of time, but it does take consistency.
Ooh. Tweet that. I'm not even on Twitter, but the most highly leveraged thing, we're always seeking leverage, right?
Yeah, that's what I noticed. Yeah.
Okay, so You have a access your soul's wisdom meditation that's available on your website at lisaberkovitz.com. And we will have that link in the show notes, but it's BERKOVITZ.com, Lisa Berkovitz. And this will help you make decisions. And it can be a practice that people can use regularly to tune in like this.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Do you have time for a couple quick questions?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. This section is called Align with This. And it's just some simple questions to get to know you a little bit more. Fiction or nonfiction?
Damn. Nonfiction. I love fiction, but I more often go for the nonfiction.
You can have both if you want. It's okay.
Okay, both. I'm good. Both. I love both.
Beauty or function?
Beauty.
Comfy clothes or dress for success?
Okay, I'm getting a theme, both. I'm saying both every time. It's not beauty or function, it's both. It's not comfy or dress for, it's both.
One-on-one clients or groups of clients?
Both.
You want it all.
I want it all.
Try something new or follow the proven path?
Try something new.
Try something new.
No,
cardio or strength?
Cardio or strength? Damn, cardio.
Cardio. Yeah. Convenience or challenge?
Oh, that's a tricky question. I like ease and flow. So
you can make up a third response.
That's my third category. Yeah, ease and flow. Ease and flow.
Save or invest?
Invest.
And Bali or Italy?
Oh, these are good questions. Damn, I'm definitely taking both of those.
And Costa Rica. I know you were just there. And actually your story a lot of your story goes to Costa Rica. So
it does. That's
we
true.
can have that also. Let's see. Mountains or ocean?
Probably, again, both, but I love ocean. Probably ocean over mountains.
Awesome. I like heat. Come visit.
Yeah, yeah.
And giving back, third world country or your own backyard?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm for my own backyard first. Let's clean up our own backyard before we start. Mind you, no, it's both too. I do both, but my own backyard has a lot of energy to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Lisa. Do you have any parting word for folks?
Oh, yeah, I have this saying, your soul always knows. Your soul knows your next steps. Your frequency is always there. Like, just trust. If you actually just do the simple practices, everything you need is in you all the time. Trust that and practice to find that.
Amazing. Thank you. And thank you for modeling the way with that. I so love who you are in the world and appreciate you, Lisa. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Darla. Back at you. I feel exactly the same. Mutual love.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, it's Darla here. Whether you're listening to this episode because you're ready to host your very first transformational retreat, or because you're already hosting retreats and you want to make them infinitely more profitable and life-changing, there's one thing you need to know. You are literally inches away from the game-changing retreat concept that will rock your world. I'm talking about more money, more transformation, and the deeper, more grounded business you dream of. I want to see you get your aligned and profitable retreat idea dialed in and ready to deliver. That's why, after delivering my own retreats for 8 years and working with clients to create their rich retreats, I'm hosting a free interactive workshop where you can refine your retreat idea and receive my personal feedback on your offer so you can bring your retreat to the world with confidence. The workshop is called Pitch Me Your Retreat. It's happening in just a few weeks and it's going to be incredible. And I know it's going to be incredible because, well, this idea literally jolted me out of bed one morning. What's the best way to make these life-changing retreats happen? Roll up our sleeves and dig right in. If you want my guidance to get clear on your retreat idea, I can spot a winning aligned vision and gaps in strategy super quickly. Here's what to do. Hop on over to pitchmeyourretreat.com. Register to pitch me live and receive laser coaching around your retreat. Or you can register and listen in to the guidance I give others. Oh, and I love games, so there are also prizes to be won. I know Spirit is guiding this workshop as we shift the world one transformational retreat at a time, together.